Okay, so people-centric leadership, empowerment, optimize, purpose-driven vision, learning, and then embedding change. It's about people.
Welcome to the Sixsess Consultancy's People Change Leadership and Management course with Tony Underwood and Barry Eustance. We're the joint facilitators on this course. The course is designed for everybody and anybody who is interested in leveraging change to their advantage and really gaining opportunity from the continuum that is change. The course is not about equipping organizations for one change, but equipping them to continuously deal with change and structure their organizations accordingly. So it's people change leadership, but the most important element of that is the acronym PEOPLE, because that's the basis of effective change. Your people are the basis of effective change. So that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to walk you through the course, how it's structured, and where we're going to run it. Tony, if you could take us through day one and the individual modules so that we can explain to our prospective attendees precisely how the course is structured.
As Barry said, it's about people. So day one is trying to embed an understanding of what it takes to engage your people, talk to the hearts as well as the minds. And very much what we're trying to encourage in that first day is a shift in your mindset. If you are already in that road towards understanding how people can make a difference and how to engage with them, to really take it to another level, to understand how deeply you have to sort of approach this mindset to really make the change that you're trying to make. We'll start day one by an introduction to the people framework.
It'll be a brief introduction, but it allows us to set the scene for the course and get everybody aligned with the thinking that's going to go into it and behind it. And remember, this is going to be an activity-based course with a lot of interaction. It's not so much about teaching, it's about learning. No such thing as teaching, only learning, as the great Monty Roberts said. So we're going to set that scene, and then we'll move on to session two.
People-centric leadership.
Couldn't be more important. The most important element of any change program are your people and stakeholders. We'll be working through leading with empathy and empowerment, and explaining how that works. We're providing tools, for example, the empathy map, that will allow you to expand the whole process of empathy and empowerment within your organization. Absolutely critical. Empowering stakeholders and your own team will provide a much more effective, durable, and sustainable outcome for your change program.
Yeah, principally, I'll be bringing the sort of concepts of whether it's at the highest level of rugby and sport. Barry and I share this worlds of aviation. When you're dealing with people that need to have to relate to them at a very deep, almost visceral level to be able to earn their permission, if you like, to engage with them and to get their commitment rather than just their compliance really to things. Central to any change that you want to try and create, you need to have people on board. And you can only do that by really connecting with them through the use of empathy. And then through that buys you the permission then to really go where we want to go when we're creating change, is to affect it in a very high-performing way. And to do it in a high-performing way requires challenge. And most people go for the challenge before they've earned the right to do so. This is where people-centric leaders just makes the change, is to earn that right to challenge people, empower them, and gain their engagement into the process.
Thank you, Tony. Session 3.
Okay, so session 3 is empowerment in the change.
And that's building voluntary engagement and innovation networks. This is really a novel concept where you're creating essentially the empowerment environment where your own people voluntarily engage to bring together the change program. They organize into innovation nodes, a network of connected nodes of volunteers who are working on the strategic vision, and we'll be coming on to the critically important strategic vision soon. But the important thing, having created a people-centric leadership culture within the organization, is then empowering those teams to actually bring forward the change. And remember, we're not talking just about one change. We're talking about the continuous change that's surrounding your organization and us generally every single day, and how you leverage that to take opportunity from that continuous change. Session 4, please, Tony.
So session 4 is having a look at just putting that into action in terms of case studies in empowerment.
And we do that using an analysis of empowerment in real-world cases, with both hypothetical cases and also real-world cases, organizations who've actually gone out, used the structures of the framework we're putting forward to you to really, really affect change in a very positive way for their organizations and in a world-class way. Session 5 is actually over to you, Tony, again, about building the innovation nodes.
Sure. So session 5 will be taking advantage of all this by how do we build these innovation nodes for the magic to happen, really.
Yeah, and that's about developing voluntary innovation networks. This is a superpower that you can provide for your organization. Very often, change is conducted by a small group of people doing stuff in a quiet way, not with very little reference to the outside world or, in fact, the environment that's going to have to work with it, and then imposing that change. This whole program moves that out the way and takes your change program to a new level by engaging your people to actually work on the issue of delivering the change for you. And this is the superpower that we're going to discuss with you, work you through how these innovation nodes and creative networks are going to be able to really power your organization through change. Tony, session number 6.
Okay, so we're going to day 2 now. Session 6 will be that magic word communication. So communication and coordination.
Exactly. And the coordination is crucial. Basically, during change, it's very difficult to over-communicate, but it's extremely easy to under-communicate. So it's about creating frameworks for having a plan, a communications plan, modifying that, updating it as required, knowing who your stakeholders are, and ensuring that you're communicating effectively and in the correct way with the relative stakeholder groups. And again, vitally important that it's built around a plan. It's not just ad hoc. So this is structured, and it allows you to effectively communicate and do that throughout the whole change process. And remember that this is talking about continuous change, because that's actually what's happening to you and your organization.
So one big thing to remember about communication is probably summed up, I think, in a phrase we talk about a lot in aviation, don't we, Barry, about a sense of what's worse than bad news? No news. We need that communication flow happening and that coordination of it that Barry's just revealed. You need to be hearing people's voices. Otherwise, we can't make the change where it's quiet. We don't know information. So providing that space for it to happen and then coordinating it to hear the stuff. We need to hear it. Otherwise, we can't change properly.
Exactly. And one of the things we'll be discussing is actually the neuroscience of change and how people do need to have all of those elements. They need to have self-esteem, purpose, autonomy, certainty, equity, and of course, social connection. And the social connection is vitally important. So this is where your change again can transform from the standard method that people use and that often fails to one that's really powered and driven by effective communications with engaged and empowered stakeholders, your own people. So Tony, if you'd like to give us session 7, please.
Session 7 is vision crafting. And then the alignment of
creating a purpose-driven vision and aligning teams. It's not just about the P&L. It's about creating a vision that people really engage with. So it's a higher level vision, and we'll go into what that really means during the course. It's creating something that the now empowered and engaged teams that you've built into innovation networks can really lock into and understand and can drive forward with. So the purpose-driven vision is crucial. Session 8, Tony.
Session 8 is about strategic vision workshop.
And that's exactly what we're doing. This whole program is about workshops and activities. It's activity-based. It's not so much about board and chalk. It's more about us working with you to facilitate the conversation that actually brings a deep level of understanding about the fundamentals of effective and sustainable change. And the workshops are really going to help us achieve that. Session 9, Tony.
Session 9, case studies in purpose-driven vision.
Once again, we're going to explain how this works practically, and it'll be a workshop with a case study. In this case, it's going to be a hypothetical case study, but it's a relevant one. All the hypotheticals are derived from real world cases, and we can work through it and see how you, as the attendees, will want to drive the purpose vision, how we construct it, and how we deliver it. Session 10, Tony.
All right, well, session 10, we've done all this good work, and the thing is we don't want to lose any impetus with it. We want to embed what we're doing. So how can we prepare for long-term learning is what session 10 is about.
Yeah, and that's it, isn't it? The important thing here is that the build, measure, learn, pivot methodology is very relevant here. Not every iteration of every change is going to work out as anticipated. So we learn from projects we've done previously. We're learning from the current project. And crucially, we're also celebrating wins as we achieve them. Celebrating small short-term wins is really, really important. It gives that impetus that must be there to drive the momentum that is critical to ensuring that the change program is driven across the line, as Tony would have said in his previous international rugby playing career. So session 11 is learning from past projects and learning and reflecting on successful and failed projects. Session 12, Tony.
Session 12, recognition and mentorship.
Couldn't be more important. Recognition. If people are achieving results, neuroscience has determined that they absolutely do need the recognition for that and will be empowered by it. And this is about sustaining the acceleration throughout the change, sustaining the momentum through the change, and also sustaining the engagement and empowerment through the change. And that comes from a combination of mentoring, coaching, training, and also celebrating wins as they occur. Session 13.
Session 13, embedding sustainable change.
There's no point in change and having a continuous change program unless it can be embedded into your organization. And that's what this is all about. It's about ensuring that the change that you have brought, your team has brought, your creative networks have brought, and your purpose-driven vision have brought is actually embedded in the organization. And there'll be 1,000,001 things and reasons why that doesn't happen, not least, and we'll talk through it, the resistance that you get through just the normal process of the neuroscience of organizational change. People will naturally be resistant to it. However, if you have a significant proportion of your employees, your staff, your teams involved in the change process itself, then you'll find that the dynamics change dramatically because they're engaged in the process, they're empowered by it, and they've already bought into it because they're delivering it. So we're going to talk about how to overcome the resistance to change. That's massively enhanced by the use of innovation networks. But also the other element of this is the dual organizational structure, which we'll talk about. And that is how you can have these innovation networks running alongside the traditional hierarchy with a lot of crosstalk between them to ensure that you have the stability and the repeatability and the reliability that the hierarchy brings, but the innovation and creativity that the innovation nodes bring to your organization, and how we move that into the DNA and the culture of the organization as we embed it within it. And Tony, session 14?
Session 14, really, an action plan workshop. And what I love about the whole approach to this is what it's about. It's about you. It's about you attending, turning all the good stuff that we'll be talking to you with, but working with you through the few days to give you an action plan to take away, to make it sustainable in your actions, that you can go away and apply in your own organization. So there's going to be a celebration, I think, in terms of the way I'm looking at this, Barry, a time to sort of see it wrap up and see the attendees see some real thoughts about how they can go away and make a real change themselves.
And that's entirely the case. The workshop will be about us working collectively to really optimize the planning that you bring to your next and hopefully continuous change programs. And we emphasize once again, this isn't about equipping organizations for one change or incremental change. It's about creating the structures, the mindset and the culture to actually really thrive from continuous change and accelerating change. And at the end of it, you'll walk away with a workbook complete with your own polls and questionnaires that will have completed throughout the course that you can actually take and deploy on day one back in your own organization. So that's really it. Tony, any thoughts that you'd like to add?
No, I think to me, as a reflection on the whole thing is what is change about? And change can be either happening to you or happening because you've created it yourself. And that sense of how can we create an environment in your organization which you can confidently take on new change, but you can also meet challenges that come externally to you. Obviously in sport and in aviation, that's what we had to try and create, isn't it, Barry? That sense of just that resilience and robust response to anything that comes your way, because change is a constant. So how can you equip yourself to better handle it and come out with a better outcome as a result of these changes? So the big USP about our course is this focus on people and the factor that that brings in. You might have all the best processes in the world. You might throw money at all sorts of things, but unless your people are engaged in the process, it's not going to happen. So what allows you to use that factor in your favor, and that's what the people course is all about, is how can we engage people to be on your side and use the assets that they are and everything that they bring to its optimal. And by the way, have a good time while you're doing it. And it's about, to me, care. It's about care for your people. And that's the word empathy that we use. But I think a lot of times people talk about care and they will be employing it, and they'll be employing it in terms of the words and mission statements and values they might use. They might apply it in some of the actions that they do. But the real difference to make this work and to create change that we're talking about to an elite level really is about fierce care. To confront change requires fierce challenge. And the problem is most organizations don't confront that fierce challenge having first provided the foundation of fierce care. That fierce care earns you that engagement with your people to confront these challenges that you're going to face and do them in a really high-performing, flourishing way for you and your team. That's what the People Change course for me is all about. Okay, so people-centric leadership, empowerment, optimize, purpose-driven vision, learning, and then embedding change. It's about people.
So there we are, the Sixsess Consultancy's People Change Leadership and Management program, available throughout the United Kingdom, throughout the year. If you want to register your interest, as I'm sure you will, then please do so using the form on our website or available on the link on this video, and we'll be right back to you. The intention will be to ensure that the small group sizes that we have, it'll be approximately 10 people per course. We will be looking to ensure that wherever possible, we bring a course to a location near you. So the Sixsess People Change Leadership and Management course with Tony Underwood and Barry Eustance, we look forward to seeing you on it very, very soon. Thank you.